you'll see where the recommendation from the governor was to eliminate 7 filled positions and 5 vacant positions. The $312,000 I mentioned earlier, we use part of that here to hold those 7 filled positions and not eliminate them. They're already short-staffed as it is. And Chairman Roberts, where did you wind up sitting down at? He tells a story of a couple of the game wardens talking about walking into the woods, and when they get there to the hunter says, "Yeah, I saw you walking up through the scope of my gun." You know, that's not an enviable position, and certainly one that I wouldn't want to take. They know they're going into the woods with folks that have loaded guns, and so we just want to make sure that they're staffed to the level they need to be so there's not a problem ever. Moving on to Section 37, and there's something I want to point out here. Last year, Chairman Chanel passed legislation creating the new Department of Public Health, pulling it back out from under DCH, and we were having a difficult time managing it under DCH. Agency itself was just so large, it was hard to manage it there. But I want you to look at the recommended cuts and reductions that the governor has taken there that we've agreed with, and understand that the move has been a very good move. It's allowed us to save a considerable amount of money. 2, I guess, success stories. A lot of the testing that was being done by the Department of Public Health was not being billed out correctly to hospitals. That's about a $10 million correction that they've been able to make in billing. So it's been a $10 million increase into the general fund. Also about $1.5 million, I think it is, in federal money that was not being pulled down. We've been able to pull that down too. So it's been quite successful. If you'll look at 3711.1, that is the new grant and aid formula, then the hold harmless money there of $1.2 million. Just wanted to point that out for you. Section 38, Department of Public Safety. Under 38.5.1, you'll notice the ad I mentioned about the State Patrol or State Trooper fuel cost raising from $200,000 to $500,000. The $200,000 basically got them back to a break even. The $500,000 allows them to actually put the troopers back on the road patrolling, and does account for 35 new troopers that'll be on the road by May and the fuel that they'll need. So that's something badly needed there for them, especially with the increased fuel costs that we've seen. Section 40, just real quickly, no changes there, but the committee stayed with the 2% overall cuts there. Section 41, Department of Revenue, line 41.0.2, you'll see an adjustment in the telecom expense. It's a one-time true-up that the Governor's Office of Planning and Budget came back to us with. It's $3.7 million that they need to put back in order to true up the GETS expense and technology expense there. So that's a one-time add there. Under 41.8.3, you'll see where we're agreeing to the funds to purchase. I'm sorry, let me back up. I'm telling you wrong. There's tax compliance is the other issue, I think it is. I'm sorry, 41.4.1, my bad. 4.9 million there is that pilot program I was talking about in fraud detection, a computer program. It's estimated that it'll bring in approximately $60 million in the first year, or recover $60 million in fraudulent applications that were just being missed. 41.8.3, we've had several people come to us with an issue dealing with printers in your local county tag offices and tax offices there that Department of Revenue had been providing. Those printers have worn out, need to be replaced. We feel like the state's obligation to do so. We're just telling Department of Revenue to fund that from existing funds. And they sell tag data to certain companies for different things to figure out, you know, what vehicles are being bought in the state and that sort of thing. And what we're doing is just telling them to use those funds for that replacement piece there. Moving on to Section 42, Secretary of State. 42.4.1, a restoration of $150,000 cut recommended by the governor. That provides funds to help maintain current facilities. The secretary came to us and was afraid that that cut would require him to close potentially an office, and so we're just trying to keep that from happening. Under 42.5.1, the Georgia Board of Pharmacy, you'll see a $35,000 ad there. That goes toward the pharmacy testing, and so that's an ad there for that. Section 43, Soil and Water Conservation Commission. There were two cuts under 43.2 and 43.3. Subcommittee felt it was necessary to add those back. These are the folks that are dealing with the monitoring of ag wells and water use in South Georgia and all through the state where there are ag wells being monitored. They're already on a shoestring budget, and I think their budget's already been cut about 45% over the last several years. So we need to make sure that we keep that up and running. That is very important for our negotiations between Alabama and Florida on our water issues. Section 45, under student finance, 45.11 and 45.12 is basically a swap of $45,000. There were a couple scholarships that were not used at under one of the programs under scholarship grants. We moved that $45,000 into ROTC grants at North Georgia College. So that's just basically a swap, no big change. Section 47, TCSG. Again, the committee felt that 2% cuts were all right there, and so that's what you're seeing as a 2% cut. Section 48. The first change is dealing in Airport 8 under 48.1. There was a proposed $55,000 cut. The committee felt that it was necessary to go in and add $200,000 there in Airport 8. That $200,000 goes toward a 95-5 match on funding. So that $200,000 pulls down about $10 million in federal money for local airports to be able to use to work on ILS systems or any other security issues that may pop up. Looking on under 48.2 and several of the other areas, and I'll point those out as we go through them. House Bill 806 we just passed out of committee. These are the results of what that bill does. You'll see under 48.2.5, $461 million there. $300 million of that, which will go to the Northwest Corridor project. The governor is very committed on that 575-75 project up there being something that the state does, so we don't give up our state sovereignty to be able to build roads and meet needs up there for 50 or 60 year period. So there's where part of that's going. The rest of the money that is scattered throughout goes back to your local communities to do projects and allow contract lettings to begin back at our old contract letting rate of about $60 million a month. So it puts feet on the ground, shovels in the dirt, and gets things going. If you look at 48.3.2, you'll see an add there of $357 million, 48.4.2, an add of $50 million, 48.6.1, $5 million there, 48.7.1, $61 million there, 48.8.2, $35 million there, and 48.9.1, $2 million there. It's basically a spread of about $713 million that's put into there that gets stuff rolling very quickly. Going on toward the end of the budget, if you look at Section 51, dealing with bonds, general obligation bonds, I want to point a couple things out to you there, help you understand these things. Under GO bonds, 51.1.1, the governor shows an increase of funds of $3.188 million. That is basically where he can park money for us then to use to take care of the GETS and SHPP issues in the judiciary and in the House, Senate, and joint offices there. So that's what that money was used for. You'll see a slight change also under 51.1.2 in reduced debt service. That that actual reduction in debt service also allowed us to fix the issue in GBI and the issue in DOR dealing with GETS. So that's pretty much it, y'all.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Looks like you have just a few questions to start with. First is Chairman Roberts.
I hit it by accident, but I just to clarify,
I can turn you off.
All those ads is money that's previously been budgeted.
Yes.
This is money now that's in that carryover that we discussed earlier.
Exactly.
From previous year.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, that's the only question you seem to have.
All right, Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry, Amos has got it.
There is a question. Chairman Emerson. Can you pick up your microphone, Chairman? Hit your button. There you go. Yeah, it does.
Got it.
Now you're on. It's on. It's working.
Hello.
There you go.
Okay.
You're on.
I've received 4 calls this week already having to do with the Department of Community Health, where they're supposed to be holding some kind of vote to reduce waiver amounts, and they say it's because we're cutting the budget.
It's not in this budget. It'll be in the 13. You're talking about now in comp waivers. Yeah, we're still working on that to find out what the root of that issue is. It was under the governor's recommendations. The subcommittee has not taken it up yet, though.
Thank you.
All right.
That's all the questions I see, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Well, I would appreciate your affirmative vote on this. And well,
The chairman has made a motion. Is there a second? All those in favor of the 2012 appropriations measure signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
all right. Just want to let everybody know that the bill and tracking sheets will be posted on the website later on this morning. Thank you, everybody. We're adjourned.